right, I'm chilling. I'm chilling here with my Minecraft shirt on, stained up, about to go do a morning workout. But I wanted to talk about kind of what was important to me, like very early on, and when this is why I read sci-fi. This is the topic of the blog. Why I read sci-fi. This happened to me maybe in the late 90s, or early 90s, yes. I read the book. Shout out to my man Edgar Freeman, one of my youth that I worked with when he was in high school, passed me this book. He went to school at Lincoln University, and this writer's from Philadelphia, so I'm pretty sure there's some type of connection. But he hit me to this book, Zorro, A Tale of Alien Avengers. Now, I put this book everywhere. It's like reading reparations. It's like Afrofuturistic reparations, right? And I put this book everywhere. It's considered my favorite book for a lot of reasons. One, it started me reading fiction, where I had mostly read nonfiction, African history books, and political books, right? I'm a black man. What do we read? What do we read, right? And this book was my second book to read leisurely, fiction book. The first one was Wait and Exhale, and this is the second one. And I was like, oh my God, I was reading it on the train, I remember, in New York City, and it was taking me away from the stresses that was around me on the train. Now, if you've ever been on the train in New York, you don't have to be in rush hour for you to have a lot of distractions and things that you got to pull yourself away from. And this book did it, and I remember wanting to read it every other time. Now, mind you, I will post and tell anybody, I don't remember reading any more than 2 books in high school, and in any other books that I read before that, they weren't fully chapter books. I read so that's me, and that was Sula and Autobiography of Malcolm X. All the other books that I was supposed to read that we were assigned, I just searched through them to find the answers. I even won a reading contest in middle school, junior high, in the 7th grade. Shout out to my teacher, Miss Morris. She's on Facebook with me. I won the reading contest. I could tell you I don't think I read any of the books. Maybe I read 60%, 50%, 40%. That's a lot, but I did find the answers, and I did write well, and I finished all of the scholastic books, and I wrote all the answers to the questions and got them right. So for all intents and purposes, I understood the story. Now, did I get the enjoyment out of it? Did I get the escapism that reading offers? No, I didn't get that. It wasn't until, really Zorro. I mean, I read Wait and Exhale, but I was reading it because the movie was coming out. My mother was in a book club. Shout out to Mrs. Johnson, Connie Johnson, and Candy Johnson. Like grow-up sister of mine, the mothers were so close, we actually went to see the movie with them together. And I think it was like I had just graduated college, so it was kind of something to do with my mother and her friends. So I read it, but I was reading it to rebuke everything was in it, because every chapter was like, damn, another black dude's going down. If it was set up, it was another one that was about to go down. So it was like, oh, he looks good. Next thing you know, dude's this. Next thing you know, dude's that. He's a cheater. He's gay. He's an abuser. I was like, damn, and I'm a young man. So that book wasn't as entertaining as it probably was for women, right? So then it kind of allowed me to see the difference. And kind of this blog is really about the first 2 books that I read leisurely, not for school, not for anything else, just a pickup, because prior to that, I'm a black man. I'm trying to make it. I had a business. I'm an entrepreneur every minute. That's why I do this blog in the car, because I ain't got time to waste just riding, listening to music after I drop my son off. I figured let me even monetize my drive to drop my son off or drive to work. When I used to drive to school, that's how I started this. I was like, man, I can't watch videos. I don't have to look at this. And I can drive and it's not distracting. So I monetize every moment. So reading something leisurely, especially being a moderate to slow reader, I'm not going to say slow, but when I do read, I can read fast. It's just that my time is all over the place. It takes time away from me working to read. And if I have African history books, I feel the use of that knowledge. It helps me gain a better understanding of the world that I lived around. Going to public schools in America, you don't always learn the correct history. You learn their side of the story. And my major in college was business and history, or African history. So I have a real attraction to that. I'm reading, all different books, and with nonfiction, you don't have to read cover to cover. You read a little bit of the chapter, you look into it, what you need is like a textbook. So I'm not reading and building any type of context or comprehension, right? I'm understanding what I'm reading, no doubt. But when you're talking about high-level literary comprehension, there's no story, there's no character, there's no predictions, there's no reaction, there's no response that you have to give in the same way that you would give to a story, a nonfiction essay on the builders of the pyramids. Oh, wow. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people every day, you have to read fiction books to your kids because that's what they're tested on. They're not tested on information, nonfiction books. When they're writing informative essays, they got to get from it nonfiction essays, but their comprehension is on stories, the Shakespearean stories, whatever stories that are out there. They what do you call it? Now I gotta lean over. That's what their comprehension is built on. So why do I read sci-fi, right? Well, it is the best way to take me away from all of the stresses of the world. The movies that I like are mostly science fiction. I'll do some comedy, but I'm not really heavy on the drama. Basically because my world is not that dramatical, because there's a lot of drama in the world, and I am allergic to drama. So I like to avoid drama. I avoided women that were drama queens and found me somebody that can handle their problems without screaming, frustrating, taking it out on me. Just give me a minute. I gotta get over this. I ain't got time for all of that. I don't respond like that. I'm not a person that breaks things when they get angry. I don't get road rage. I don't have time for none of that. If I'm driving with you and you screaming at the car for cutting you off and there was a red light in front of us, are you kidding me? You understand? Even if it wasn't a red light and you missed the light, you going home. It ain't going to cost you. And if you that tight on time, then it's really your fault. You should have left early. So that's how I handle stress. And I avoid people that can't handle their stress like that and let things get them upset. So I'm avoiding drama. That's the last thing I want to do with my time is to be involved with a real world dramatical situation. Now, when I watch, Star Wars and Aquaman, they got some drama in there, no question. There's tense moments and things of that nature, but it is over a planet about to be exploded. It's over an underworld city that's combating Black Panther. He came back and, sought the Panther crown, you know what I'm saying? And it's made up. I like Mortal Engines. The cities was traveling. I mean, the movie was medium, but I'm talking about the concept of it. Lord of the Rings, Matrix. It don't have to even be the Matrix to be deep for me to get into it. I like to think about other planets. I like to think about other time periods because that gives me the maximum escapism. Now, I'll do a Western, I'll do history, but it's got to be exciting and full of action and adventure. Those are the reasons why I write science fiction, to take me away. Now, recently, God, I'm going to get his name wrong. I'll say Jerry, who is the writer, director of the movie's screenplay for Beale Street Could Talk and the movie Moonlight. Moonlight, I saw parts of it, but I have still not sat down and watched the whole movie. I know that's going to mess me up, but I will, and it's only 2.5 somewhat hours of my time, and I can make time for that. But it would be more to study it, because I possibly may meet dude, as opposed to enjoying it. Same way I watch Precious. I was working in education. I still consider myself working in education, because I may go back to it in some capacity, probably a mentoring program or something like that. And I had to understand the kids that I was with. So I saw Precious and I read the book Push to gather that understanding. Well, and I may do the same thing with Moonlight, because I possibly may meet dude. But am I going to see Beale Street? Not for what most people are going to see it for, which is to enjoy the movie. It's not enjoyable for me to see people struggling, to see racism. Now, they rewrite the history and they give you a fantastic story where, it's like the spook who sat by the door, and this shooting of the innocent black man leads to the taking over of certain cities in America. Okay, now you got me. All right, I'm down. All right. I'll give you an example, right? I watched The Upside with Kevin Hart, and Kevin, played a dramatical role. It was a break from his comedy role, and it was a guy who, and this is a remake, and it's a true story, so there's no spoilers, because the story is out there. You just didn't watch it, and I'm not going to spoil the ending. But his character was just out of prison, and his baby mother or his wife, I don't know if it's his wife or not, said he couldn't see his kid and kicked him out of the house. And that's a powerful, dramatic thing, but Kevin's character was like, all right, you mean I gotta go? All right, I'm out. And he handled it. It wasn't no screaming, wasn't no snot bubbles, it wasn't overly dramatic. And he may not get an award for that, no doubt. He may not get an award for that, you know what I'm saying? But it is a real reaction. And the problem that I have with a lot of drama is that people handle their stress in movies 90% of the time the same way. And people in real life don't all handle stress the same way. There's a lot of people like Kevin, who I am like, handle stressful situations without screaming, without cursing, without fighting, without pounding on something, without crying right away. I might cry, like when my mother died, I cried maybe a week later when I was making up the bed, and I just thought about how I missed her. But I'm not hooping and hollering at the funeral. I'm not crying. Sometimes my logic kicks in and say, yo, what's up? Now, if I was an actor and they said, yo, you just lost your mother, I'm going, oh my God, Mom, why? Oh! I'm going to put on a show. That's not how I act in real life, but that's how people want you to act. And that's why drama sometimes is annoying for me, because I act differently than most people. So for those reasons, maybe I should get into that a little bit more in another blog, but I hope you understand, I don't know what's in Beale Street. I have little idea. I draw a lot of conclusions from trailers, because I'm a writer and I have an aptitude on comprehension, so I can predict a movie, and sometimes they can surprise me, like The Departed tried to do 5 times. Sometimes they try to be so surprising that it ruins the movie, because you get confused on the ending of the movie. But anyway, my time is out. I just wanted to say that. That's why I like science fiction, for the escapism. Hopefully you got an idea of what, why maybe I and maybe some other men don't really get into drama so much. I can get into it a little bit more, but I will later on in another blog. So thank you. I'm tight. I'm going to do a shorter blog in the future. Peace.